You know that specific kind of panic when you look at your calendar and it's just a solid block of color.
Oh, yeah.
No white space. Just meetings, deadlines, and notifications popping off every 3 seconds. You're trying to, like, optimize every breath you take.
It's the hustle culture default setting, right? We're all running it.
Exactly. And the usual advice is always, get a better app or try time blocking. But today, we're taking a massive step back. We're looking at a strategy for navigating that chaos that is roughly 2,500 years old.
Which usually makes people roll their eyes. We tend to think ancient just means outdated.
Right.
But in this case, the source stack suggests that these guys, Laozi, Zhuangzi, might have been the original productivity hackers.
We are diving deep into Taoism today.
Yeah.
But, and I'm going to be really clear about this, we aren't just reading fortune cookies here.
Not at all.
We've got the classical texts, sure, the Tao Te Ching and the Zhuangzi, but we are mashing that up with some heavy-hitting modern management theory. We're talking about papers from the International Journal of Academic Research in Business and Social Sciences.
It's such a surprising crossover. You have these, mystical poems about rivers and trees on one side, and then hard data on paradoxical leadership behavior on the other.
And they're saying the exact same thing.
They really are.
So the mission today is to find the Tao of now. How do we use this stuff to actually survive a Tuesday afternoon in 2024?
Without having to move to a cave.
Right. And I want to start with the mindset piece, because the sources lead with this idea of how we judge our own lives. Most people know the parable of the Taoist farmer, right? The maybe so, maybe not guy.
It's a classic. The horse runs away. Neighbors say, bad luck. Farmer says, maybe.
Then the horse comes back with more horses.
And the neighbors say, good luck. The farmer says, maybe.
Yeah, I feel like we've all heard it.
Yeah.
But rereading it for this deep dive, something struck me. In the story, the farmer seems so chill.
Yeah.
But in real life, if my car gets stolen, which is basically the modern equivalent of the horse running away, I'm not sitting on my porch saying, maybe so.
No.
I'm freaking out. I'm calling the police. I'm stressed. Is this philosophy actually practical, or is it just spiritual bypassing?
That's a valid pushback. But the point of the story isn't that you shouldn't have emotions. It's about what psychologists call cognitive closure.
Okay.
We are biologically wired to be meaning-making machines. Something happens and we instantly want to stamp it. This is a disaster.
You want to close the file.
Exactly. We want certainty.
Yeah.
The farmer's genius isn't that he doesn't care. It's that he refuses to close the file before all the evidence is in.
Yeah.
He understands that every event is just one scene in a movie that hasn't finished playing yet.
Okay, so it's not about suppressing the anger that the horse is gone. It's about holding the judgment of the event loosely.
Right. In the story, the son eventually breaks his leg falling off a horse. Neighbors cry tragedy. Farmer waits.
And then?
Then war breaks out. The army drafts every young man to the front lines where they all die, but the son is spared because of the limp.
The disaster saved his life.
Exactly. The source material is reminding us that we are terrible at predicting the second and third order effects of our bad days. So the anxiety you feel isn't usually about the event itself. It's about the catastrophic story you've already invented, about where that event leads.
So the Tao of now is basically admitting, I actually have no idea if this is good or bad yet.
Which is a huge relief if you can actually do it.
Big if. But let's pivot to something else that feels just as counterintuitive. The value of being useless.
The parable of the useless tree. This is straight from Zhuangzi.
So, quick summary. A carpenter sees this massive ancient oak tree. I mean, it's a shrine, it's so big. But the carpenter just ignores it.
Walks right by.
He tells his apprentice, it's worthless. The wood is too knotty for boats. It rots too fast for coffins. If it was useful, it would have been cut down years ago.
And the twist is that the tree appears in a dream and essentially says, yeah, exactly. That's my strategy.
Usefulness is a trap.
The tree points out that the fruit trees, the apple, the pear, they get stripped, broken, and abused because they're useful. Their utility makes their lives miserable.
But this tree survived because it couldn't be monetized.
Yep.
I read this and I thought, this is the anti-LinkedIn. Because everything in our culture screams, make yourself useful, learn a new skill, optimize your side hustle, be value add.
And the Taoist response to that is, useful to whom? If you make yourself perfectly shaped for the corporate machine, you will be used by the machine until you are broken.
So are you saying we should all just be incompetent? Because I feel like my boss wouldn't appreciate the useless tree strategy during a performance review.
No, and this is where we have to be careful. It's not about incompetence. It connects to the concept of the uncarved block, or poo.
Okay, unpack that.
The uncarved block is about protecting your core nature from being whittled down into a single specific tool.
So if you're just a tool,
Say, you're the guy who answers emails at 11 p.m. You are useful to the company, but you are burning your own timber. The useless strategy in a modern context is about setting boundaries.
Ugh.
It's about having parts of your life or your creativity that aren't for sale, that aren't optimized for the market.
So my weird hobby that makes no money.
Keep it useless. That's what keeps you whole. That's what allows you to grow into that massive ancient tree rather than being cut down as a sapling.
That actually makes a lot of sense. It's defensive uselessness. But let's switch gears to where this gets really technical. We mentioned that academic paper earlier, the one on paradoxical leadership behavior.
Yeah.
How do we get from ancient trees to modern management theory?
This is the strongest bridge in the source stack. Western leadership theory has traditionally been very binary. Either. You are either a strict boss or are a lenient one. You focus on control or you focus on innovation.
But the Tao is all about yin and yang, opposites interacting.
Precisely. And the research from the International Journal of Academic Research, specifically the work by Zhang and others, found that the most effective modern leaders practice both and thinking.
Give me a concrete example. What does that look like on a Tuesday?
Take Huawei. The study explicitly looks at their management philosophy, which they call grayscale management.
Grayscale.
Ren Zhengfei, the founder, pushed this hard. He argued that if you view the world in black and white, success versus failure, friend versus enemy, you become brittle. You snap when things change.
So you get stuck.
Yeah. Grayscale means having the capacity to tolerate ambiguity.
So instead of maximizing profit or maximizing employee happiness,
You hold both. You push for high performance while offering high support. You maintain centralized control on vision while giving total autonomy on execution. It sounds contradictory.
it sounds impossible. It sounds like you're telling people to do two opposite things at once.
That's the paradox. But think about water. That's the core Taoist metaphor. Be water, my friend. Water is soft, right? It yields, but it also erodes rock.
Right.
It flows to the lowest place. That's humility. But it is unstoppable.
So a water leader isn't weak.
No. A weak leader gets pushed around. A rigid leader breaks. A Taoist leader flows around the obstacle. The source quotes the Tao Te Ching. The best leader is one where, when the work is done, the people say, we did it naturally, or we did it
It's
ourselves.
a visible boss.
Exactly. If you have to constantly scream orders, you're forcing the stream, you're meddling. The academic term is wu wei, effortless action.
And what does that mean exactly?
It doesn't mean doing nothing. It means acting so aligned with the situation that it feels like nothing.
Which is a perfect segue to flow state. Because if we want to work like water, we need to talk about cookting.
The butcher.
This story is so graphic, but it's brilliant. Cook Ting is cutting up an ox for the king, and he's not just chopping. The text says he's moving like a dancer.
Zip.
Zip. The king asks, how is your skill so high? And Ting says, it's not skill, it's the Tao.
And here's the key detail. He hasn't sharpened his knife in 19 years.
19 years. A normal cook changes blades every month because they hack at the bone. But Ting says, I find the spaces between the joints.
The blade has no thickness. The joint has space.
I love that image. Hacking at the bone is what I feel like I do when I'm forcing a project that isn't working, just grinding against the resistance.
And Ting just slides through the gap. But how does he get there? That's the question.
Right.
And the source stack gives us the answer with another craftsman, the woodworker Ching.
This is the fasting of the mind guy.
Right. He makes a bell stamp that is so perfect, people think spirits made it. The king asks for his secret, and he says, I spent 7 days fasting my mind.
And he breaks it down day by day. This isn't just like, I took a deep breath.
No, it's a systematic stripping away of ego, he says. Day 3, I forgot about rewards and titles. Day 5, I forgot about praise and blame.
That's the hardest one for me, forgetting what people will say about the work.
And day 7, he forgets his own body. He forgets Ching the woodworker even exists.
Wow.
Only then did he go into the forest. He had to disappear before he could see the tree that contained the bell stand.
It reminds me of that other parable in the stack, the archer and the gambler.
Yes. This is the explanation for why we choke under pressure.
The story goes, when an archer is shooting for fun or for a clay tile, he's a wizard. He can't miss.
Total flow state.
When the prize is gold.
He goes blind. He starts shaking. He shoots wildly. The source line is, he who looks too hard at the outside gets clumsy on the inside.
Clumsy on the inside. That is such a perfect description of anxiety. The skill is the same. The archer didn't lose his talent. He just added stakes.
He created two targets, the target on the wall and the gold in his mind, and splitting his attention made him fail.
So the woodworker's strategy for getting the reward, for getting the praise, is basically a way to trick your brain into thinking you're just shooting for clay tiles, even when you're shooting for gold.
Exactly, you reduce the internal stakes.
Okay, I want to get tactical. We've talked about the philosophy, but the Tao Te Ching actually lists 3 specific treasures for navigating life. If we want to be more Taoist today, what are we actually doing?
Laozi's 3 treasures.
Yeah.
Number 1 is compassion.
Which sounds nice, but maybe a bit soft for a Shark Tank environment.
But the text reframes it. It says compassion is the source of courage. Think about a mother bear. She isn't fighting because she hates the intruder. She's fighting because she has compassion for the cub. That's a fiercer energy than aggression.
Interesting. So compassion isn't weakness, it's a better fuel source. What's number 2?
Conservation. Or frugality. But it's not about money. It's about energy.
The anti-burnout clause.
Holding a cup and overfilling it cannot be as good as stopping short. That's the quote. In a modern context, this is the discipline to stop working before you are empty, leaving a little in the tank.
And the 3rd.
Humility. Not daring to be ahead of others.
Which goes back to the water metaphor.
Right. If you position yourself below others, listening, supporting, you end up leading them. If you try to stand on top of them, they fight you.
There was one other practical tip in the stack that I found really relevant to our digital lives. The concept of the sensory diet.
Oh, the 5 colors.
Yeah, the quote is, "The 5 colors make one blind, the 5 sounds make one deaf."
It's surprisingly prescient for the smartphone era. The idea is that sensory overload, bright lights, constant noise, infinite scrolling, doesn't just distract you, it actually dulls your senses. It makes you numb.
You become blind because you're seeing too much.
So the strategy is caring for the stomach, not the eyes. The stomach represents what actually nourishes you. Substance, basic needs, reality. The eyes represent the flash, the superficial, the dopamine hit.
I'll cut out the noise.
The Taoist advice is to aggressively cut out the 5 colors so you can actually think again.
I love that. Feed the stomach, not the eyes. Now, I have to play devil's advocate again. We've painted a very rosy picture of this philosophy. Be water, be useless, everything works out. But the research paper we looked at, the one on paradoxical leadership, it had a warning label.
It did. And we shouldn't ignore it. This stuff is hard.
What's the catch?
The catch is cognitive overload. It turns out that holding 2 opposing ideas in your head at the same time, like be patient and hurry up, is metabolically expensive for your brain. It is exhausting.
So trying to be a Taoist leader might actually burn you out faster than just being a tyrant.
It can, and it can confuse your team. The researchers found that if you aren't careful, employees experience subjective ambivalence, which is fancy talk for, I have no idea what my boss wants.
Yesterday she said take risks. Today she said be careful.
Exactly. If you just flip-flop without explaining the grayscale, you just look chaotic. So the counterpoint is, paradox requires high communication. You have to explain why you are balancing these opposites, or people will just stop following you.
That is a crucial reality check. It's not just go with the flow. It requires intense focus to maintain that balance.
It's active, not passive.
So we've covered reframing luck, the power of uselessness, leading like water, and the dangers of paradox.
Right.
But we have to end with the ultimate mind bender in the source stack.
The butterfly dream. You can't do a Taoism deep dive without it.
It's the story of Zhuangzi falling asleep in a garden. He dreams he is a butterfly, and in the dream, he is 100% butterfly. He's fluttering, he's happy, he has zero recollection of being a human philosopher.
And then he wakes up.
He's back in his body. He's Zhuangzi again. But he's confused. He asks, did I just dream I was a butterfly? Or am I now a butterfly dreaming that I am a man?
It sounds like a riddle, but it's a challenge to the whole concept of identity. We spend so much energy defending who we are. I'm a manager. I'm an anxious person. I am successful.
We build these fortresses around our ego.
And the butterfly dream implies that these identities are just costumes.
Or stories, temporary states.
Right.
And that's the final aha for me. If my identity is just a story I'm telling myself right now, I can change the story.
Precisely. If you are stressed, if you feel trapped in a role, that's just the current dream. You don't have to defend it. You can wake up and be something else.
So here's the question we want to leave you with today. And it's a heavy one. To what extent is the identity you are fighting for right now, at your job, in your relationship, in your own head, just a story?
And if you stop defending it,
Who would you be then?
maybe you'd be a butterfly. Or a useless tree.
Or to someone who finally found the space between the joints.
And that's a good place to be.
Thanks for diving in with us. We'll see.
We'll see.